Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Overwatch Open. We are now into week 4, and we're also into our first round of 8 match here on the European region. And we had a very, very tense game indeed on King's Row, with ANOX going down 1-0 at the moment to the newly found Immortals team. Previously, We United swapping up a couple of members on their roster and clinching a narrow victory on their first payload map, but now moving into a little bit of a different ballgame.
Yeah, we're headed to Nepal, which changes everything. And what a close game that we saw in that first round. Anything could happen between these two teams. And honestly, I felt in my heart that ANOX was the stronger team, especially hearing about their performance over the last couple of weeks. It's difficult in the game of Overwatch to add new people to your roster and move along as if nothing happened. It's actually impossible. So the fact that this formerly We United team, now under the Immortals banner, is able to play so well in their first showing is actually really bodes well for the team. And I'm just happy for these guys because guys like Too Easy, he was a foundation of early Overwatch competition as kind of the star DPS player for Reunited when they were it wasn't really arguable. They were the strongest team in Europe for a period of time. He ended up getting the boot from the team, so I gotta feel like Too Easy, this one goes out for you. Your team's doing well, and it looks like they're gonna be able to make it pretty deep here and at least get some more points, seeding them into the $300,000 tournament in the playoffs for that.
They're going to need it as well because this is the last week you're able to collect those points. They want to make sure they secure that spot in the top 12. They can, of course, go on to win the entire thing outright and get one of those 4 spots. But even if they don't, they just need to get far enough to make sure they are within those next 12. And that's going to be incredibly important for both of these guys, so it's a little bit sad that one of them is going to have to go out at this phase, but that is the nature of competition, ladies and gentlemen, as we get started now, and this is going to be the sanctum point to start things off.
All right, I'm going to pull a total biscuit. We've got ANOX in the red trunks, Immortals in the blue trunks, as they have a completely mirrored roster. Both teams running with the exact same lineup, which has been happening more and more here on King of the Hill.
Too Easy being very sneaky and trying to get a lot of damage in before the fight actually started on the other side. And 3 kills in a row for Immortals now as they basically pincer movemented ANOX. Now, something that you guys might want to know about ANOX if this is your first time watching them, incredibly skilled team, also extremely aggressive. They are very one-track minded when it comes to attack. Don't be surprised to see everyone collapse in, and if someone goes, oh, well, there's a flank coming, you go, outrun the flank, absolutely go for the face. And a lot of the time, that works beautifully for them, but that time it did not.
Absolutely, and ANOX now, they've got to fight their way back in. They use the Tracer ult, not able to get any kills with it. It's currently even 5 versus 5 on the point, but we are going to see a Primal Rage come out for Fiction. I believe that's it. Is that it? Fiction? Faction?
I've got a Function.
Function. That's a really hard name to pronounce, dude. But a couple of kills now going in the way of ANOX. This should go their way as they have the advantage on the point. They have positioning. They have a numbers advantage. Too Easy is going to do everything he can to try to get a sticky connect, but no connection will happen. So back to the drawing boards for Immortals. That said, plenty of time. They actually have a slight ultimate advantage, although if you do look at Immortals, they're about to have a whole bunch of ultimates for this next fight as well.
Yeah, it's all about who's going to be able to get positioning in order to use Sound Barrier and move on in. Here comes Winston coming in, trying to clear the way for Shadowbird. He moves in for Immortals. He's looking for the kills, but Sound Barrier pops out for ANOX. Able to get Cooler, but Cooler, of course, has already used his ultimate. The DPS players are still there. 3 kills now, and Function is getting an awful lot of kills down on the board. Winston just zoning them out so well, and ANOX still continuing to struggle. Winston with Discord Orb on him isn't going to last long, even in Primal Rage form. And Immortals now flip the point. It's 33 to 38.
Yeah, Immortals now have the point, and they have the ultimate advantage to boot. So they're feeling pretty comfy here on Sanctum. So we are here on the first point of Nepal. Let's see how these teams do engage, and it's going to be tough for ANOX with such a disadvantage in ultimates, but Immortals drop several ultimates right off the bat. That's going to be 3 kills without a drop of sweat coming down the cheeks of anyone on Immortals right now. They got an easy wipe there, and now they're going to be able to push out almost all the way to the spawn. And at this point, ANOX has about 2 more solid pushes. And I'm saying solid, you know, they might have a third if they get wiped immediately and they can keep going for it, but not many chances left for ANOX.
They need this attack to be, if they don't take the point here, they need it to build a lot of ultimate charge. It needs to be productive for them, And we need to see if they choose to use it. It looks like it is. Forsaken going down straight away to the pulse bomb. So they're not waiting to use the ult. They want to take it right now. They're not interested in building up for a second. Is that going to backfire though? Raucous with Sound Barrier. Forsaken and Zombs both out of the fight. The rest of the play is still here. And Shadowburn with the 3K. And ANOX, no more ultimate to speak of. I think ANOX is going to get his now, but that is going to be it. And they're staggering the deaths too. I think that might be the final blow.
Oh, maybe one last chance to try to jump on. It's going to have to be this Genji dashing on in. He does have the Harmony Orb on his head, so he can do it. He's on the point. Too easy in the backlines. And let's see, first kill does immediately go to Immortals. Second kill goes to Immortals, and that's going to be Sanctum going the way of Immortals.
Now that...
Kenzie with some heroics at the end, but not quite enough.
So I feel like that was the play style of ANOX, maybe counting to against them just a little bit there, because they're very used to diving in on a point and using their mechanical skill to outmuscle their opponents, which is actually fine. It makes for really good viewing as well. The problem there is that they just straight up didn't have the ultimate advantage, and I was looking for them to build up those ultimates and come in with a second push that was super strong. They didn't do that. They instantly used Pulse Bomb. They instantly used every ultimate they had the moment they got it, and they basically rolled the dice, and unfortunately there, it just didn't come out in their favor. Very strongly held by Immortals.
All right. We are watching as Immortals will take the high ground first. And this is something we see almost every team do, almost every single time here on Shrine. Just seems that having that high ground advantage is so important in the first phase. No D.Va or Reinhardt or anything to block the incoming spam, but Kenzie gets the first kill, and that's so important, getting that first pick for his team.
Oh, wow.
Too Easy will respond, so both of the Zenyatas have been targeted right off the bat, which does make a ton of sense. Yeah. That Discord Orb, way too strong right now. Totally a game changer. And it looks like Immortals starting to snowball this, but Cypher has started to go on a spree as well, so not quite out of it yet. If you look, ANOX had so little health, Cypher had so little health, but they managed to survive, and they're still in or around the point. So actually, a scrappy battle has gone the way of ANOX.
There's a reason this map is called Tracer's Playground, but Cypher at the moment looking to go ahead and contest just a little bit of that, and not getting double kill though in the meantime, and Winston having the time of his life, I have to say, so far on Nepal. It was him just now. I believe it was another player previously. I think it was Function that was getting the 2 or 3 kills at once. Now we have ANOX just comfortably holding the middle ground here. They're up to 20%, so, you know, not exactly game-changing just yet. And here come Immortals on the low ground this time. An immediate collapse coming in from ANOX. They're not waiting. Very, very aggressive. Doesn't pay up on the Shadowburn getting a kill. He's got his ultimate out. He's looking to be able to charge in, finding Cypher, which is going to be such a critical pickoff for them, actually. And now the rest of ANOX, they're still staying alive, though, to be fair. 6v5.
Ooh, Sherrick needs to start hitting a little bit more of his Zarya beam there. Not able to connect the Shadowburn at all in that last fight, so Shadowburn still unopposed, and Sherrick is going to die. And this is really, really bad for ANOX because it means that they have to wait for Sherrick to come back into the fight. And if Shadowburn can get any additional kills, that's even worse. They're just going to have to wait. Zombs making his way into the battle for Immortals, so they're not all on the point, so I guess there is actually a slight window here for ANOX to push in. But yeah, they're just going to have to wait. That's what they're going to do.
Well, they're grouping up now. They're looking to collapse in, and here we go. Once again, ANOX all coming from the left-hand side. Bear in mind, this actually could be really good for Function because Winston can just hit all the targets at once. An excellent Graviton Surge coming out from Zombs. It hits everybody, but we do actually have Lucio saving the day by the looks of things. And now Forsaken, he's just gone ahead and used his ultimate. He's going to go down as well, and everyone from ANOX absolutely destroyed. Too Easy even giving the emote there. What an incredibly strong defense, and this is one of the features of this point as well. You see the attack coming from so far away, you can call it and prep it.
Yeah, and you can hear it as well, so they hear them coming up top right now. And will be the entirety of ANOX, I believe, and actually reflecting the Tracer ultimate right into that incoming push. Immortals, though, looking very low on health as Shadowburn's down early in the fight. Fiction, sorry, I don't know. Fact Fiction, that's what someone said in chat. So that's what I'm calling him from now on. Fact Fiction, able to, does actually go down. So ANOX showing signs of life here on the second point. They're going to make it happen. They're going to retake control in what was actually quite a dominant fight there.
Well, definitely in that fight, function became fiction. We know that much for sure. That was absolutely superb from ANOX, but they need more consistency. They need to be able to defend. They've been really good on attack, and Immortals have been able to fend off one or two of them, but generally speaking, they're stronger on attack than they are on defense, and now they have to stay coordinated. ANOX, though, going down very early on. Forsaken, with Transcendence available, isn't going to be available for Immortals for this fight, so we need to bear that in mind. Zenyatta is going to be out of play. There's the Graviton Surge, and Shadowburn and Kenzie both going ham, doing so much damage on both sides. It's actually just a little bit of a trade, to be honest, from both teams, but Shadowburn now with the ultimate, getting 2 additional kills, tips the tide in favor of Immortals. And like we were saying, Ben, ANOX really strong on attack, but they haven't been able to hold as well as Immortals have.
Yeah, and Shadowburn was left with just about 20 or to 40 health in that last engagement, but still able to make it happen. I gotta feel like that might have been some kind of miscommunication or not proper targeting there for ANOX, because Shadowburn should not have been able to do what he was able to there. Nonetheless, playing so strong for his team, really putting that Genji sword has been the strongest thing for Immortals so far here on King of the Hill. It's making magic happen. Man. And the second point, Shrine, will go down quickly in favor of Immortals here.
So here's what happened there. I mean, absolute destruction on the final point. Zoms in particular did so much work on top of the point itself. Just an absolutely fantastic job to keep Immortals getting at that point. All 6 players from ANOX were dead at the time we went into overtime. Very strong performance. And now on King of the Hill, we have to be a little bit worried if we're ANOX fans in this situation. We do mention they have a lot of mechanical skill. They are legends in their own right, like you correctly pointed out. But at the moment in this game format, where the individual skill seems to be taking precedent just a bit more compared to payload, they have been falling a bit short.
Yeah, let's see if ANOX can pull it together. They are on their last possible leg here in this tournament.
They're down to 1 leg.
Yeah. This is the round of 8, so they've made it decently far, but they need to make it further if they want to get those ranking points, and they certainly do. I mean, that comes down to seeding, which is so important in the early phases, and it looked like ANOX was just a little bit out of sync with his team. I mean, he jumped out with Winston, dropped the barrier, but his team wasn't with him at all. So Tracer was easily able to zip in there, zip on out, get the kill in tow, which means the first capture of this point easily going the way of Immortals. And of course, folks, you know what that means as well. They're going to have the ultimate advantage for the next big engagement here for ANOX.
The momentum is so important, a major factor in Overwatch, and you can see Fact Fiction there has got his ultimate 80% charge now. Shadowburn, though, nowhere close to Sword. He's going to have to do a lot of damage with Shurikens if he wants to get this in at the next fight. In fact, he won't be able to do it because he gets taken out first. And Kenzie now, he was actually the player on ANOX that was closest to getting an ultimate, but not able to do that. Both teams trading. Cypher and 2easy absolutely running all over the place right now. Still alive as well, but 2easy at the end will go down too, and basically non-stop swapping as opposed to a major team wipe.
Yeah, but this is actually still anyone's point.
And
ANOX
while
hasn't
it's all going on,
yet.
While
this battle is still continuing.
Exactly, and it's ticking up for Immortals this entire time. ANOX can't afford for this to be delayed.
Oh my god, Shadowburn is an absolute monster. He is crushing dreams of the CIS fans and this team of ANOX. Time and time again, he's just been put in these perfect situations. His teammates are doing work. Of course, Zoms has hit at least 2 or 3 people with every single Graviton Surge. In fact, I would say at least 3 people with every Graviton Surge, and sometimes even more, 4 or 5. And here comes the sword. Let's see what Shadowburn can do. He's making it happen. Oh, he's making me eat my words about Cypher potentially being the best.
3 more ultimates available as well, and Rubicon actually just uses Transcendence too, so even though Sharik has gone down, the rest of the ultimates are available for ANOX. They're going to try and make something happen on the point here, but it has to be done very quickly. Are they actually choosing to move back? Well, no, Cypher's got it. They're on the point, and more importantly, 4 ultimates available versus 1 means they'll have a little bit of longevity, but if they use it in the next team fight, in the team fight afterwards, Immortals already have 80% cap. So this is actually quite close here on the Shrine.
Yeah, this is ridiculously close. And ANOX, you know, they've looked a little bit stumped at times. They haven't been able to get those clutch plays, but Cypher now is beginning to go off, and 4 kills, 5 kills in a row. Will it be a clean fight? Indeed it will. That is a team wipe going the way of ANOX. And still a breath of hope there for the CIS team, and they need to actually have a reverse sweep here on Nepal. They can certainly do it, though. Anything can happen on King of the Hill, especially when you have extremely talented DPS tracers and Genjis. They can really just carry. If you use the ultimate, if you use your support ultimates smartly, of course, you do need to have the full team coordination to make it happen. But Kenzie's going to get the first kill right away on Too Easy. So all of a sudden, this is starting to look very good for ANOX.
Forsaken using his Transcendence very early on in that fight, actually, and he's more or less staggering it with Fact Fiction. It didn't work out for them at all, and ANOX, as a result, are going to be able to keep a hold of the point. Now, if we take a look, they're up to 68% now, and Immortals aren't really that much better off in terms of ultimate charge. Too Easy and Shadowburn have been charging that for a while, so they will have those ultimates available. It's a little bit of a better position. It's not exactly a dream for Immortals. They are going to have to win this fight. They cannot afford to come back and do it in overtime. I mean, they can, but what a massive risk that would be. This is the one fight they have to win. We're moving in now. Shadowburn reflecting approximately everything, and he comes in with his ultimate off the backline, which is good because that forces ANOX to look in multiple directions. Cypher getting a kill off on Forsaken to start things off as well. Transcendence being used now to try and stave off the damage from the sword. He will be able to stop that for a little while. Shadowburn continuing to deal some damage, but he is on Winston duty, and Anak, as a result, will be able to clean that up. ANOX now looking very, very strong to potentially take the point.
Yeah, they've fought back here and got a point, finally, after a very heartbreaking loss on King's Row. That's what the map is called. They're starting to fight back, and it's on the back of this very talented team from the CIS region. Let's see where we'll be headed next. Of course, it is RNG. All right. Okay, we'll see. Will folks tend to go for the high ground? Well, the answer is probably yes. They do almost every single time, Jorasar.
Yeah.
Both teams will be clashing up top, and no changes whatsoever. Both teams mirroring the composition of one another, as this composition that we're seeing right here, right now, has just become almost a staple. You know, you can tend to see Reaper instead of Genji. Maybe you also tend to see sometimes McCree instead of Genji. But this core lineup right here has just become really the most dominant lineup on King of the Hill.
It's very, very stable for a reason. You've just got that lovely balance of DPS and being able to sustain as well. Having a good Zarya player is so important to this too. Making sure you keep the team members alive and build that charge as quickly as possible. Shadowburn getting the first kill in the Genji versus Genji battle. So in terms of building ultimate, that's actually going to be incredibly important for him. We'll be keeping an eye out there. And picking up a second kill as well on Anak is going to mean, look, he's already sort of 10-20% ahead. And the person that is able to use a sword first is going to absolutely kill the next fight, because take a look at the Zenyatas. They are far behind. Rubicon 22% charge, Shadowburn 60. You won't be able to transcend out of that one.
You know, one thing I'm noticing from ANOX right now is that they don't seem to be calling targets very well. In that first fight, Cypher got that Lucio Rockets down to what I can only imagine as maybe 10% of his health, but he never went down, and the fight just began to snowball from there. If you're not able to actually call a target, get the early pick, and the other team is, everything is going to go wrong for your team. And this is once again looking great for Immortals, as they have a couple of ultimates to the name. They're going to have the sound barrier very soon. Cooler only at 60%, so he won't have it for this next fight.
And Shadowburn, we're going to keep an eye on him. Here comes the sword. Remember, there is no Transcendence available on the defense for ANOX, which means this Genji is able to absolutely run riot. Winston is not going to save you now. He's looking for Tracer. Won't be able to get her, but it doesn't matter. The damage has already been done. Too Easy getting 2 kills to his name as well. And Immortals now, if they can win this point, they move on to the semi-finals. 55% play 0 right now on the dojo level here on Nepal. And ANOX, they need answers. They need them fast.
Yeah, and I think they have enough time to push in with almost 5 full ultimates once more in this map.
Rubicon,
this is the easiest kill for Too Easy, and actually, just as I say that, Zenyatta able to back into, oh, so close, able to back into the health kit, but actually, while Too Easy was out of the fray, it looks like ANOX was able to get all the kills, and they have retaken control.
He didn't dash before he actually hit the pulse bomb there. The pulse bomb more or less whiffed on the floor. I was waiting for the dash forward and hit, but maybe he died just as he was hitting that button. I've got no real explanation for what happened there, but I feel like it could have been a lot more effective for Too Easy. Nonetheless, though, Immortals on 84%. Now, ANOX have successfully taken the point, and we're going to be plotting our next moves. Only Forsaken with an ultimate available, but Transcendence can so often be a delicious direct counter. Here we go.
Yes. All right. So ANOX with the positional advantage, and Sherrick is going to get a pretty big ultimate there. Going to capture 3 of the attacking team. Immortals stop in their tracks, and this push is as good as dead.
But they've got 4 ultimates available, and Raucus is going to be building up to 100%. So, as far as team wipes were concerned, that was absolutely a productive one for Immortals. They are still leading 85% to 40, and the next fight is going to feature a ridiculous amount of ultimate usage. We'll see if they can make it count. Here comes Kenzie to start things off. He wants to delay that quickly, but unfortunately, absolutely no one goes down. Everyone is more or less back up to full health. Fact Fiction getting hit a little bit now as they move in, and they're collapsing onto the point. This is for Immortals to take home the bacon right now. Transcendence coming up on that. That was an excellent Graviton Surge. Kenzie doing a good job to use Rewind to move out of that, and now Cypher has gone down very early on. 2 more kills coming the way of ANOX now, and this is looking very, very good for the Immortals.
Yeah, it's looking great, but Kenzie is actually doing a lot of work as Tracer right now, still alive just somehow, some way, but not able to make it happen, and only a couple of seconds remain for ANOX to get on the point. They are going to extend this into overtime, but it's overtime with very little to their favor right now. They do use the Lucio sound barrier to get themselves in, and the battle is actually quite even now. ANOX looks like they're finally getting some sort of advantage, but Too Easy still in a position to get a big pulse bomb, not able to connect. So in the nick of time, in the last possible second, ANOX has made it happen, keeping the dream alive for a little bit longer.
Now, this is a weird situation as well. Too Easy, I feel like just chucking the pulse bomb on the floor really wasn't the best. He needed to find someone to sticky that too, and as a result, the ultimate just didn't do for him what it needed to. But now if we take a look, nobody has ultimates available. I'd say Immortals are ahead a little bit, but they kind of need 2 team fights to do that, and it's 86% for ANOX. Have they got the luxury of time, or have they thrown away an opportunity here? Winston getting absolutely stuck in, and Forsaken gets pinned against a corner and goes down straight away. 3 kills in a row for ANOX now, and Immortals are looking like they could get taken to a 5th point on Nepal after looking so good on this level. Now 3 left. Can they trickle in? Yes, they can, but really, what can they do?
Yeah, hope was disintegrating there for ANOX fans, but they fought back when it counted.
Wow.
And here we go. We're going to the final point on Nepal, and it's going to be Sanctum.
I was not expecting that because, frankly, Immortals were just in such a strong position that I didn't think they could throw that away with the 5 ultimates on the board. Credit where it's due. ANOX just had to go in and take that opportunity. That was an excellent piece of play, by the way, from Too Easy a little bit earlier on in the match, where he was actually nailing all of those pulse bombs. Shadowburn as well, a massive, massive call out to him because he managed to win the battle of the Genjis there, getting more ultimate charge than Cypher, crucially timing his ultimates for when Zenyatta wasn't able to interfere from the other side, and he was a big difference maker, even though Immortals didn't win the point.
And here we go, on to Sanctum, arguably the most hectic, most insane point on Nepal here. Everyone's going to be piling on into the middle. Of course, there is the pit. You can get knocked into doom, and Lucio's will do that. You'll also see Winston's do that once they pull out their ultimate, and the clash is actually kind of interesting. ANOX coming from 2 angles at once to start things off. They're going to get an early pick on the Zenyatta, but on the other side, Cooler as Lucio has gone down, and this fight is beginning. Well, actually, just as I said that, Immortals has been able to even this up, so it's a fight on the point. Kenzie, the last one alive for ANOX, but he's been able to get a whole lot of work done. He's got to zip out of there, but at least delayed things for a little bit longer. Kenzie should drop back, maybe grab the health kit, and regroup with his team for this next fight. But, oh, ANOX gets it before they cap. Immortals didn't cap.
Oh, wow, and this is actually quite useful because, frankly, they turned a team wipe into a situation where they're able to get some stuff on the board first. Very nicely played there from Kenzie. I was wondering what he was doing hovering around that pillar on 18 hit points, and I'm like, mate, are you not going to grab a health pack or meet up with your team? But that's exactly what the game plan was, so we can see that now. Very, very nicely played from Tracer there. Now can they hold on to it? Immortals at the moment. Fact Fiction has got Primal Rage available for him as well. The first 3 kills go the way, though, of Immortals, and this is looking very tricky for ANOX.
Absolute and utter destruction of that first push there by ANOX. Or, actually, they took over the point, I should say. So a dominant insertion onto the point as Immortals takes complete control, and they're going to have a couple of ultimates to boot. That said, we will have ultimates on both sides as both teams have had their turn to wipe the other. So let's see what ANOX can do as they do push in. We're going to see a couple of Dragon Blades right now, right here. Sherrick is the first target, though. He is a tank, so it's going to take a couple of swipes, but nonetheless, Shadowburn makes it happen, and taking down the Zarya early in the fight, so incredibly important. No more shields for the team, and Immortals holds on very strong here.
Fact Fiction getting himself a quad kill in the middle of that, by the way, guys. Winston doing a superb job there, and we'll see if he can continue. I do want to highlight ANOX's playstyle actually plays into Fact Fiction, because if they all collapse on the point together, the Tesla Cannon from Winston is just able to target everybody at once, which is particularly useful. Here we go now. Graviton Surge coming out from Zombies, looking for the kills. Cypher getting one though before he can ever get anything in. The follow-up DPS was not there for Immortals then, and now we have Transcendence coming up from ANOX as well. They're going to be able to try and get a little bit more damage done. Still heroes left alive on both sides. Another Graviton Surge, and Zombs this time stuck in one, and it looks like the point is going to be held by ANOX here, but there's so many people swimming back in. This is very, very staggered.
Once again, Zombs has been left with just 15 HP, but he made it out. And that is important when you're playing as really any character, but Zarya even more so because he had so much charge. So Zombs is still going to be in a position to come back. Cypher's the only one left for his team on this point, and Sherritt by himself. He's going to try to get some charge. He's going to try to delay things a little bit longer, and he actually is. So they're going to continue to, well, actually, no, they don't have control. They want to keep control. Somehow, ANOX able to wrest control. Immortals is able to wrest control of the point there.
Zombs was the MVP there at the very end, managing to get a double kill just with the beam and successfully wresting that control away. It is absolutely right for ANOX to contest there, by the way, because the point is still ticking up in their favor while they delay that. So that was completely fine and actually buys ANOX up to 40%. And now we have a massive Graviton Surge to come out to start things off here, but Cooler with the sound barrier keeping everybody from ANOX alive, and now we see if they can follow through. They get the first 2 kills. They are quite low on health there. Look at Sherritt, look at Rubicon. They're almost going down. Rubicon just about managing to stay alive, but Immortals trading their fair share, and ANOX, by the skin of their teeth, only 2 people on the point there at the end, managed to take it back.
Yeah, ANOX resting control, but 50%, so that means Immortals still has multiple chances left to retake the point here on Sanctum. Will be an early Pulse Bomb, but a complete whiff, and that's actually going to charge up Zarya. Zombs already got to have a nice 50 charge from that Pulse Bomb, completely negated by the shield. So
it was a complete whiff, actually, and that could end up being really bad, because 99% at the moment for Immortals. We'll see if that ends up coming to bite them in the end. Shadowbird looking to slice, looking to dice, gets one of each. Thank you very much. We're going to Sushi Town. Venue is you. And
I got to call this one, guys. It's over. It is over. Immortals has done it. They have won the series 2-0. It came down to the wire here on Nepal, but in the end, Immortals proved to be the stronger team, and I certainly predicted that ANOX, after their performance in the recent tournaments, had the edge. But in the end, then this newly formed Immortals team, they have something to play for. They have a new banner, a new team, a new sponsor, and it's time for them to shine as they make their way through the bracket. And we've been joined again by Machine, and at the desk, we're here as a nice win by Immortals. ANOX unfortunately goes down for the CIS fans.
Yeah, it was actually quite surprising to see the way in which they fed, especially in the first map. I mean, you saw how close that payload was, and that incredible defense. I don't know if we kind of gave it the credit it deserves. There was 30 seconds left on the clock. Everything looked like it was correlating well for ANOX. We were going to be seeing them pick up this kind of just under like last 20 seconds closing out with that final push. But then after the team wipe, it was insane to see just how quickly Immortals got back on it, kept it contested, and that was what my biggest takeaway was from that game, was just how close ANOX were to going 1-0 up in the series. John, did you catch that? Did you see just how close it was? It basically was Shadowburn staying alive, deflecting everything he possibly can, too easy, blinking on as fast as he could with a Tracer. Those last couple of moments were the best Overwatch we've seen so far.
Yeah, what happened there was you normally see on King's Row heroes come and trickle in. Too Easy would have been a good example on Tracer, where you don't really have those defensive abilities to keep yourself alive for any longer. So you zip in, delay a little bit, you die, and then you move on. However, the deflect from Genji, and more importantly, I think, D.Va, was so important and so crucial, allowing yourself to get low on hit points and then coming out using the defensive matrix perfectly to give the rest of your team time to come out. I don't think they expected to defensive wipe the team, but what they did was absolutely picture perfect.
I mean, their job was just to keep the time going. They just wanted to watch those final 30 seconds.
They ended up winning the fight.
And they won the fight. They were just sitting there like, oh, okay, and then you just get it's like there's an empty battlefield and 20 seconds left on the clock. It was phenomenal stuff from Immortals, and it's good to see this new. I mean, let's admit there's 2 new players, this new roster for the XWE United boys finding early success. And in any individuals you'd highlight, Ben, who would you choose as an MVP for that one?
I think one of the unsung heroes. I tried to sing his praises.
Does
a
it
couple
rhyme
times.
with Plado Plern?
No, actually,
That's
it
not a
rhymes
word.
with bombs. It's Zoms.
Oh, okay.
Zoms, I've always really had a lot of respect for his aim. I actually did play Dirty Bomb with him before to this game, and I knew that he was going to be a beast coming in. But he's a very young American prodigy, I'd say. He's 16 or 17, something like this. So he's kind of like the American version of Mendo, who just came up, rose up very quickly through the ranks, and played just so well as Zarya. Every single time he threw out a Graviton Surge, it was capturing 2 to 5 characters. Actually, I never saw it catch only 2. It was 3 or more every time. And
it wasn't even just his Graviton Surges. Right at the end there on Nepal, I mean, admittedly we went to a 5th, but the fact that you highlighted it perfectly, Ben, the fact that he stayed alive with 20 points of health, came back with a full charge, and then killed 3 people using that shield that Zarya is capable of doing is very, very fun to watch. And again, he's an individual that's definitely worth highlighting. Good shout on him. Shadowburn was someone I wanted to highlight, John, just because he won the Genji versus Genji battle. His adversary, however, did win the cake that is the incredible play of the game. It was Cypher who was cutting through his adversaries on Genji that we chose to highlight, of course, courtesy of ROG. But the Shadowburn versus Cypher debate, we were expecting to see Cypher come out on top, John. This time, I can't help but feel Shadowburn was the one to stand up strong with that pick.
Definitely was. And I'll explain why in just a moment, though, because we're going to give Cypher his moment in the limelight. This is, of course, on King's Row, looking for a couple of chops and immediately spotting the Discord Orb. And he wasted absolutely no time in tearing through the rest of the offense. Bear in mind, the heart of this team was dead by the time the sword even came out. That's how quickly he started this engagement here. And an absolutely beautiful team wipe en route to getting the payload to where it needed to be.
And that's the magic of Genji right there. You can just go for a 5 kill like it's nothing sometimes when you pull out the sword. In fact, sometimes it feels easy, and that's just the character of Genji.
I mean, that's the reset mechanic. That's what it all comes down to, is those dashes, and you keep killing, you keep moving, and you're hard to spot, hard to stop.
But when you get to, especially on Nepal, I think the Shadowburn versus Cypher battle really came into its own, because you saw, especially on the dojo stage, Shadowburn spotting Cypher, getting him killed off early, crucially building ultimate faster, knowing that he was there before the opposing team's Transcendent was out, instantly getting the 3K. I can't really write a recipe better than basically for guaranteeing yourself those kills, because the Transcendence isn't there. He knows which targets to pick out, and he managed to do that better than Cypher on the King of the Hill map.
He certainly did. Ben, you may have hinted at Cypher being the best. I think Shadowburn might want to have a word with you, because that was a fantastic performance, and a 2-0 victory as well. One quarterfinal for Europe done, and one more European game before we venture into the North American region. This one, again, promises to be a big one. We get to see NIP recently picked up by their organization. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot at the moment with Overwatch. Oh, yeah. And they're going up against Melty, a team that's been around since the game's inception. It's going to be a fantastic best of 3, and you guys do not want to miss it. So stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly.